top focus at this hour. In a sudden escalation of tensions between US and Venezuela, President Donald Trump has now declared that the airspace over and around Venezuela should now be treated as closed in its entirety. Now, this announcement came through a brief Truth Social post with no operational details, no timeline and no explanation from the White House on that. In fact, the move has now certainly taken even US officials by surprise. Reuters reports that Pentagon officials were unaware of any military plan to enforce such a closure, and the White House has not issued any clarification so far. Now, Venezuela, on its part, has also issued a sharp response to the US President Donald Trump's latest statement on its airspace. The Venezuelan government says Trump's comments are hostile, unilateral and arbitrary and show what it calls colonial pretensions toward Latin America. Officials say that the US has now unilaterally suspended migrant return flights to Venezuela based on Trump's announcement, calling it an irresponsible move with real consequences for thousands of people now. The government here has made it clear that Venezuela demands full respect for its airspace and says it will not accept any such arbitrary decision from the US. Now, Trump's statement, you see, lands at a very sensitive time. For months, Washington has now intensified pressure on Nicolás Maduro's government, deploying significant military assets in the Caribbean, striking suspected drug-running boats off Venezuela's coast, and also authorizing covert CIA activity in the country. US officials have openly explored options ranging from interdiction operations to efforts aimed at toppling the Maduro regime. A no-fly order of this scale, in fact, would require substantial planning and resources, and defense experts now say that Trump's declaration raises far more questions than answers. Meanwhile, the FAA has already warned airlines of potentially hazardous situation in Venezuelan airspace due to heightened military activity. And after that alert, Venezuela also revoked operating rights for about 6 major international carriers that had suspended flights. On the ground, officials remain largely calm, but surveillance and patrols have intensified in parts of the country following the recent US naval activity.
See, my sense is that given the power equation between the two countries, because Venezuela is no match to America, apparently if they talk, then perhaps President Trump will force him to go for a safe exit, and perhaps maybe that Maduro may finally find that okay, this is okay with me. That could be one of the contingencies. I don't say. Because I don't think Venezuela is in any position to give a pitched battle to United States, and therefore, and not many global organizations or countries are coming up in support of Maduro. Maduro is also not a holy cow, because his hold on power and his elections were also questionable, and therefore perhaps he also has a constituency in his country which is against him. So I think President Trump is going to play along with that, and tensions would certainly reduce if if both of them talk to each other, or both of them meet each other. If there is a meeting on the horizon, then I think it would be better for both the countries.
Venezuelans in Caracas expressed discontent after U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday declared that the airspace above and surrounding the country should be considered closed in its entirety. I think it's unfair, says resident Manuel Romero, adding that, quote, Venezuelans are not to blame, but they are the ones who pay the consequences. Another resident, Carmen Castillo, says it affects us a lot because many people abroad wanted to come home for Christmas, while others in Venezuela had plans to travel elsewhere to see family. Trump announced the closure in a Truth Social post, but gave no further details. Venezuela's government condemned his comments, describing them as a colonialist threat against the country's sovereignty and incompatible with international law. U.S. officials contacted by Reuters said they were surprised by Trump's announcement and are unaware of any ongoing U.S. military operations to enforce the closure. The Pentagon did not respond to requests for comment, and the White House did not provide any further explanation. Saturday's announcement follows months of U.S. strikes on alleged drug boats off Venezuela's coast and is Washington's latest way of ramping up pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, who the Trump administration has portrayed as having a role in supplying illegal drugs that have killed Americans. Maduro has denied having any links to the illegal drug trade. Reuters has reported that options under U.S. consideration included attempting to overthrow Maduro, and that the U.S. military is poised for a new phase of operations after a massive military buildup in the Caribbean. In Puerto Rico on Saturday, U.S. military aircraft were seen active at the former Roosevelt Roads Naval Base. Trump told military service members earlier this week that the U.S. would very soon begin land operations to stop suspected Venezuelan drug traffickers.